Good morning. I'm Beth Sargent.
And I'm Jim Sargent. I wrote this song back in 2014 for that year's In-Gathering celebration, and we've been singing it ever since.
So please join us. We can't see you or hear you, but we know that you're there. The circle is open, welcome home. The spirit of community, the sacred gift of love. We stand on holy ground, fire all around. The circle is open and we're glad you're coming home. Welcome to the south, welcome to the summer sun, Milky Way and thunderstorms and stalks of yellow corn. Welcome to the west, welcome to the setting sun, waving wheat and purple dusk and turning back toward home. The circle is open, welcome home. The spirit of community, the sacred gift of love. We stand on holy ground, fire all around. The circle is open and we're glad you're coming home. Welcome to the north, welcome to the midnight sun, quiet, dark and frozen ground, and harvest in the bins. Welcome to the east, welcome to the rising sun, ocean waves and hope renewed, the company of friends. The circle is open, welcome home. The spirit of community, the sacred gift of love. We stand on holy ground, fires all around. The circle is open and we're glad to see you home. The circle is open, welcome home.
Good morning. Welcome and welcome back to First Parish in Needham Unitarian Universalist. Our church was founded along with the town of Needham in 1711 and has seen many changes over the years. Different buildings, different ministers, different styles of service. What has never changed, though, is our spirit of community, service, and love. With that in mind, I'd like to extend a warm welcome to each and every one of you watching this morning. Whether you know our historic meeting house like the back of your hand, or you have yet to set foot inside, we welcome you. Whether you identify as a woman, a man, non-binary or genderqueer, gay, straight, bi, pan, cis, trans, or none of the above, we welcome you. Whatever your beliefs, wherever you are from, we welcome you. My name is Eric Bailey, and with my wife Liz and our daughters Cassie and Zoe, we've been members here since 2004, and this church has been such a huge part of our lives since then. We count many of you as some of our dearest friends, and even though we may be watching this morning from many different places, we are all together in spirit. This is our first service of the new church year, our ingathering, traditionally a time of reconnection and recollection, and sometimes listening to me up on a stepladder say to you, if you can't see the camera can't see you. Things are and will be a little different this year. But that's okay. Change can be hard, but it can be good. It can provide a fresh perspective, and maybe even allow us to soar to greater heights. But enough about the Patriots. We are so pleased to welcome back Reverend Katie to our services after her parental leave to be with her beautiful daughter Sophia. And we are equally pleased to welcome Jenna Crawford, our new intern minister. And we are so grateful to the entire First Parish staff, both for the work they've done over the summer, as well as their upcoming work this fall. Our church programs will still be running: religious exploration, youth groups, adult education in the Lane Lyceums, but in slightly different form. You'll hear a lot more about these in the coming weeks. Please take a note in your calendars for 2 weeks from today, September 27th, when we will have a congregational meeting at noon to vote on the budget for the remainder of the church year. This budget was approved by Parish Committee last week and ensures that we can keep the church running without adverse impact to our staff. Look for an email within the next week or so with details so you can review prior to the meeting. In closing, let me quote from our beloved hymn 131, Love Will Guide Us. Love will guide us, peace has tried us, hope inside us will lead the way. On the road from greed to giving, love will guide us through the hard night. Thank you, and again, welcome.
Hello, everyone. I'm so glad to be back with all of you, even virtually, after all these months away. I've missed you all so much. We light our chalice, symbol of our faith, with words from gay Indian American Unitarian Universalist minister, Reverend Manish Mishra Marzetti. Between rocking the boat and sitting down, between stirring things up and peaceably going along, we find ourselves here in community, each called from many different journeys, many different life paths onto this river road. Some are here because the rocking of the boat has been too much tumult, too much uncertainty, too much pain. Some are here with questions about where the boat is going, how best to steer it, where this journey ends. Others are here as lovers of the journey, lovers of life itself. Here, each a passenger, each a captain, doing the best we can. Rest here in your boat with me, the river calls. Listen to how I flow, the sound of life coursing all around you. Let the current hold you, let the current guide you. The river that gently flows through your soul whispers, "Come, let us worship." Our opening hymn, Come, Come, Whoever You Are, has lyrics attributed to the 13th century Sufi Muslim mystic Jalal ad-Din Rumi, and a tune from Unitarian Universalist minister Reverend Lynn Unger. The original poem asks for every person, regardless of religious affiliation or goodness, to return to the embrace of God's love, even and especially after making mistakes. We'll sing the short tune twice through.
In the Unitarian Universalist tradition, the covenant is a set of promises the membership of a congregation strives to honor with one another and in the outer world. Though we cannot gather in person during this time, we strive to live these promises every day. Please say along with me from home the words of our parish covenant as shown on your screen. We gather as a loving community to encourage and comfort one another. We gather as a diverse community to support each other in our search for spiritual truth. We gather as a service community to live our beliefs through action and care for our world.
Hey everyone, I'm so glad to be back together. For those of you who may not know me, I am Roberta Altamari, and I am on my 3rd year as your Interim Director of Lifespan Religious Education. And I'm really pleased to introduce you to our new ministerial intern, Jenna Crawford. Jenna, would you like to tell everybody something about yourself so we can get to know you a little bit?
Thanks so much, Roberta. It's so nice to meet you all. As Roberta said, my name is Jenna, and I'm really excited to be starting the year with you all. So I am new to the Needham Church, but I'm not new to the Boston area. I actually grew up in North Reading, right down the road, and was in youth group and did coming of age at the UU Church in Reading. So I'm really excited to be working with you all and working with youth, and just so happy to be here.
That's wonderful. We are very glad to have you here. So today is our water communion service, and we're talking about our connections to water and how they connect us to one another. Do you have a favorite story you'd like to share about how water is meaningful in your life?
Yeah, thanks, Roberta. So I have a lot of really fond memories from kayaking and canoeing, and in particular, a couple of Septembers in college, right around this time, actually, this weekend, I participated in a 3-day long marathon canoe race with my college. You can probably imagine that by the end of the 3 days, my core muscles would be very sore, because when you're canoe racing, it's really important that you're not actually using your arms, but you're using your core and your abdomen, because that is what's not going to get tired as quickly. And being in nature, and especially on the water, even though my body was working really hard, is really where I find that my spirit finds some rest, being on those wild rivers. And I have really fond memories of Racket Lake and Long Lake and Marion and Brown Track, and paddling through those for a couple of Septembers a number of years ago. Roberta, I know that you have some stories about times that water was really meaningful for you and being around water. What's one that you would want to share today with us?
Well, first I want to say what some people might be thinking, and that is a lot of strength to do all that rowing. I may not do that, and folks know that about me. For me, my favorite water place is Ferry Beach. I've been going to Ferry Beach since 2005, and I just love being in the community at Ferry Beach and just large circles of youth and religious education conferees. And my favorite is just being on the beach and enjoying the ocean, going for long walks on the beach, and just being with my beloved Ferry Beach friends.
That sounds like a really special place to you. How, I imagine that this summer you probably were not able to go. How did you cope with kind of that loss this summer of not being at Ferry Beach?
Well, yeah, I have to admit it did start out as a really tough summer, and I was really feeling sad in early July at not being at the beach. But then a couple of good things happened. One is I live in Watertown, just a block and a half away from the Charles River. So I started going on frequent walks around the Charles River, and there's just so much beauty in nature just being outside, enjoying the oxygen and all of the gifts that nature has to share. And the second type of gifts that I received this summer is that I was able to connect with my friends from around the country. From right here in my living room on my computer, I was able to connect with friends from Ferry Beach and Star Island and colleagues that are around the country. So it's just really nice to the number of people that I was able to connect and bond with this summer. So how about you, Jenna? How did you, I suspect that it was a little bit tough for you as well to not be able to go do all that rowing with your friends this summer. How did you cope with it?
Yeah, a really similar thing actually kind of happened in my life and with my roommates. We found that we didn't really need to fly on a plane to be able to go somewhere beautiful to sort of renew our spirits. We found that kind of stillness at the reservoir in Newton and in Brighton, and even on my back porch where we started a little herb garden. And sort of finding those smaller ways to be in nature, like you said, like your walks in Watertown around the Charles, and with really good company. It was simpler, but it was sort of always there all along. And that was really a beautiful thing to realize in the absence of being able to do this other thing that is a great ritual that I always love doing.
Well, Jenna, it's been really nice to meet you. And everyone, I highly recommend that you chat Jenna up at social hour or during one of her upcoming Zoom open office hours. We are really glad to have you here at First Parish with us. And First Parish friends and family, we are really glad to have you back and to be together in community again.
It is now time to share with one another our joys and concerns from the past week. These joys and concerns were submitted to me at internminister@uuneedham.org by the Thursday before the service at midnight. If you did not submit a candle but would like to share with the community this morning, you are invited to enter your message into the chat box. As our services live stream to YouTube, we cannot guarantee that your joys, concerns, sorrows, and milestones will stay within the First Parish community, but you are always welcome to reach out to Reverend Katie, myself, or the Pastoral Care Associate of the Week, whose name was emailed to you in your emailed order of service, for pastoral care or to share more privately. If you're missing hearing each other's voices during this beloved ritual, may this also serve as a reminder to reach out to one another after the service. May this beloved community be sustained by your creativity and your care for one another during this time. Our first candle is a candle of concern from Linda and Jack Davis. A candle of concern for a 31-year-old dear friend who is struggling with an aggressive breast cancer and needing our caring thoughts. A candle of concern from Elise Coughlin. A candle of concern for my Aunt Julie and her entire family. We ask that the congregation send love and light to them as they mourn the death of her father, Mel. Our next candle is from Leslie Nelkin and Ed Quinlan. We're lighting a candle of joy in celebration of our 40th wedding anniversary and for completing the list of 48 peaks over 4,000 feet in the White Mountains. Retirement and a COVID summer helped us achieve that goal. We're also lighting a candle in memory of Ed's brother-in-law, Judd, who lived life large. We are thinking of Ed's sister, Annie, who lost her best friend. A mixed candle from Anna Birkenblit. A celebration that Anna's parents have moved to Fox Hill in Westwood, and that she is glad they are nearby, mixed with a concern that they may be having a tough time transitioning. And our final candle today is a candle of joy from Susan Kamuti. A candle of joy that my first granddaughter was born on September 8th at 10:50 a.m. She weighs 6 pounds, 8 ounces. Her name is Adeline Kennedy Kamuti. We are thrilled with this addition to our family. For all the sorrows and all the joys that we still hold in our hearts, and in acknowledging the prayers of our neighbors near and far, we light a final candle. May the peace in this sanctuary be felt too in each of your homes, as we remember that even though apart, we are still deeply connected. Amen.
Thank you so much, Jenna. We hold in our hearts all the joys and concerns that were shared today. We are so excited to welcome Jenna as our new ministerial intern and delighted that Roberta is staying with us for a third interim year. And what a year it will be, with loss, grief, adaptation, creativity, and hopefully some thriving despite the challenges we face. Tomorrow, Needham Public Schools and many other schools across our state are reopening virtually. I know there are a range of reactions to the recent decision to start Needham schools fully online from both students and parents. Please know that at First Parish, we acknowledge each other's feelings and experiences and support each other on our separate but connected journeys, especially in this hard time of global crisis. For our students and educators, work-from-homers and essential workers, for those learning new technology to stay connected to family, friends, and the church, please join me now in this blessing of electronic devices adapted from Euro-American UU candidate for ministry, Dana Edwards. Dear ones, this week we start a new church and school year, a year like no other we've experienced. Here we are embarking on a new way of being together and learning together. Whether you are in pre-K or high school, completing an advanced degree or teaching those completing an advanced degree, using a device to connect with family and friends or to go to work, or some combination of these, for all of us, our learning, growth, and connections this year will include using electronic devices in new and creative ways. I invite you now to take your phone, tablet, laptop, whatever device you use to connect in these physical distancing days, and join in a ritual of blessing to begin this year. Yes, go grab your phone, your tablet, your laptop, etc., and have them with you right now. I invite you to close your eyes or let your gaze lower as you feel comfortable. Let's take a moment to breathe. Breathing in and breathing out. As we feel the weight of our electronic device in our hands or on our laps, let's breathe into all the adjustments we have made to our lives and our education so that we may stay safe and keep our loved ones safe from COVID-19. And hold in our hearts all those essential workers who take risks to serve our community. Let's breathe and release our attachment to the way things used to be. Let the movement of our breath ground us and center us on the interconnection of all the earth, and be grateful for every opportunity we have to strengthen our bond with nature. Let's breathe and open our hearts to gratitude for all of the creativity, resources, and human labor that went into making these devices and electricity and Wi-Fi and phone service, and pray that such creativity, resources, and human labor are or will be offered equitably, responsibly, and safely. Let's breathe and remember that it is not the device that has value. The value is found in the connections which the device allows us to sustain, and we give thanks for our connections. Let's breathe and imagine all of those people with whom we have connected virtually in this time of physical distance, including at First Parish, and hold their presence in our hearts. Blessings on these devices and on each of you at the start of this strange year. Blessed be, and amen. Let us now open our eyes and join in our sung response, Spirit of Life. We'll sing it twice through.
Spirit of life, come unto me. Sing in my heart all the stirrings of compassion. Blow in the wind, rise in the sea, move in thy hand, giving shape the life of justice. Roots hold me close, wings set me free. Spirit of life, come to me, come to me. Spirit of life, come unto me. Sing in my heart all the stirrings of compassion. Blow in the wind, rise in the sea, move in the hand, giving life the shape of justice. Roots hold me close, wings set me free. Spirit of life, come to me, come to me.
This congregation has been supported by the volunteered time and treasure of its members and friends since its founding in 1711. In those 300 years, this community has weathered hard times, but we are still here. This is the time in our service when we ask for all of you, the modern stewards of this church, to give what you can to build and sustain this congregation and the world we envision. This Sunday, our collection will be given in its entirety to the UUA Disaster Relief Fund. The UUA Disaster Relief Fund awards grants to UU congregations and their community partners in the wake of natural disasters and holes in the social safety net. In addition to grants related to COVID-19, the Disaster Relief Fund is presently assisting UUs and community partners affected by the Derecho storm in Iowa, the West Coast wildfires, and Hurricane Laura. To donate to today's offering, you can use one of three methods. They should be appearing on your screen. First, for those of you with a smartphone, you can use our Text to Give program. Just text the phone number 73256, putting in UU Needham, space plate, space, then the $ with the amount you'd like to give, all in one message. If you want your money applied to your pledge, please instead text that same phone number, 73256, with UU Needham, space, pledge 21, space, the $ and the amount you'd like to give. Second, if you'd prefer to mail First Parish a check, please make it out to First Parish in Needham, put the date of this service and the word collection or pledge FY21 in the memo line, and then mail your check to 23 Dedham Avenue, Needham, Massachusetts, 02492. Third, you can visit our website, uuneedham.org, to make your donation. There is a giving button in the upper right-hand corner with a drop-down menu where you'll find an entry labeled Donate Now. Follow that link and sign into your Realm account where you'll be able to fill in your donation information and choose a recipient fund for its destination, such as plate collection. Thank you for everything you are able to give to help support and sustain this congregation and the vital work of our community partners. Please take these next few moments to give what you can and know that it will be gratefully received.
Our reading this morning is a short excerpt from 19th century Euro-American Unitarian minister Reverend Theodore Parker. Parker served congregations in Boston, was a part of the Transcendental Club, and was an activist against slavery, poverty, and war. This sermon, called A Discourse on the Transient and Permanent in Christianity, was groundbreaking and controversial in its time. Gendered language in this selection has been updated for our modern standards of equality. The true system of nature, which exists in the outward facts, whether discovered or not, is always the same thing. Though the philosophy of nature, which people invent, changes every month, and be one thing at London and the opposite at Berlin. Thus there is but one system of nature as it exists in fact, though many theories of nature, which exist in our imperfect notions of that system, and by which we may approximate and at length reach it. The solar system as it exists in fact is permanent, though the notion of Thales and Ptolemy, of Copernicus and Descartes about this system prove transient, imperfect approximations to the true expression. It has sometimes happened that a person took their philosophy of nature at second hand and then attempted to make their observations conform to their theory, and nature ride in their panniers. Thus, some philosophers refused to look at the moon through Galileo's telescope, for according to their theory of vision, such an instrument would not aid in the sight. Thus, their preconceived notions stood up between them and nature. Now, it has often happened that humanity took their theology, thus at second hand, and distorted the history of the world and humanity's nature besides, to make religion conform to their notions. Their theology stood between them and God. Those obstinate philosophers have disciples in no small number. Here ends our reading.
Some Things Never Change is a great song to start a sequel movie. In Frozen 2, the song reminds us of our heroes, the Disney-fied Snow Queen, Elsa, her sister, Anna, Anna's beau, Kristoff, their living snowman, Olaf, and their reindeer, Sven. And the song reminds us how at the end of the first Frozen, the two sisters had seemingly solved all their problems. Elsa became queen of Arendelle and learned how to better control her magical ice powers and her emotions. Anna didn't marry a scheming bad guy who she'd known for less than a week, and they both learned how powerful and loving their bond is as sisters. Yes, the lessons of the Frozen franchise are numerous and varied. So at the start of Frozen 2, Anna / Kate Loftus-Camp in our performance today, Anna sings, "Even though there is always change in their lives, like how the wind blows a little bit colder and they're all getting older, Anna can rely on certain certainties. Some things never change. Some things stay the same. Some things are always true." Now, it wouldn't make a very interesting movie if nothing ever changed, would it? And that's not really how life goes either. Sometimes our certain certainties prove not so certain at all. When we've solved one set of problems, more problems still tend to appear. Life is full of surprises. Web privacy specialist Tor Baer wrote about this in a way I found very compelling, using his childhood as a competitive chess player and his adulthood as an avid Tetris player to highlight how life really is. Do you know these games? Chess and its 8x8 checkerboard and two players strategically battling one another with pieces representing royalty and armies. And then Tetris, a video game from the 1980s wherein different shaped tile forms drop from the top of the screen at random while you, the player, try to stack them perfectly without any gaps. Baer writes, "Tetris to some is frustration incarnate. It's repetitive, it's impossible to win, it's driven by luck. But to me, it became the truest representation of life there is. In life, you can't control the board. In chess, there is a best move for any given position. But Tetris? You only know what the next piece is. You play for the present moment, trying to construct the best possible configuration of pieces, knowing that it is impossible to predict the situation even 2 pieces from now. You don't get fooled into thinking you can control the future." Bear continues, I spent most of my life in that chess mindset, trying to find the best possible play or forcing my way toward a predetermined conclusion. I was hardwired to see causality all around me and to seek control. But real life isn't causal. There's always a distribution of possible events. Things happen that are 1 in a billion. Can we think of anything this year that would qualify as 1 in a billion? Our lives are open systems. Like Tetris, you put yourself in the best possible position without seeking to completely control the system you play in. We can't completely control the system we play in, the life and world that we live in. Of course, as Unitarian Universalists, we do work with our community partners to transform our society to be more fair, sustainable, and just. We're not an apathetic or inactive sort of people of faith. But if human society, even if it becomes perfected one day, we can still never expect to completely control which pitches get thrown our way. This was also true for our sister heroes, Anna and Elsa, in Frozen 2. Some things quite suddenly changed for them. They were given Tetris pieces they were not expecting, both in their present situation and in their understanding of their familial and national history, as they learned about the violent colonization of indigenous land led by their grandfather. Yes, the lessons of the Frozen franchise are indeed numerous and varied, including about indigenous rights. And in times of chaos and uncertainty, like what we're living through right now, and in our lives more generally, because again, we can never be sure what is coming next, I've been wondering about what things actually never change, stay the same, are always true. Or as our Unitarian spiritual ancestor, Reverend Theodore Parker, phrased it in our reading, what things are permanent as opposed to transient. Reverend Parker delivered his controversial sermon on the transient and permanent in religion, one of the spiritual streams of our religion, at the ordination of one of his colleagues in the spring of 1841. Parker argued that Christianity, for in the 19th century, Unitarians were considered somewhat heretical Christians. He argued that Christianity was bogged down by transient theological orthodoxy. Into the transient pile, Parker threw dogma, tradition, even scripture, knowing that it was written by fallible people. All of these things, he wrote, are like scientists trying to describe the reality of the solar system. The solar system itself is true and permanent, but the theories about it are not. Likewise, in religion, Parker preached, we must each be careful to seek what is permanent, true, real, and not get overly attached to our transient human theories and interpretations. In Parker's opinion, 180 years ago, Christianity is a simple thing, very simple. It is absolute pure morality, absolute pure religion, the love of humanity, the love of God acting without let or hindrance. The only form it demands is a divine life, doing the best thing in the best way from the highest motives, perfect obedience to the great law of God. Examine the particular duties it enjoins: humility, reverence, sobriety, gentleness, charity, forgiveness, fortitude, resignation, faith, and active love. Is there anything therein that can perish? No. And here we are, Reverend Parker's spiritual descendants, wondering ourselves what is permanent in a time of such upheaval where many things we assumed were permanent have suddenly proven to be transient. What things for us at First Parish never change? I think if we had been asked this in 2019, having safe opportunities to gather in person for Sunday services, rituals, and social hour, all ages educational programs, and justice demonstrations would have been on that things that never change list. To quote Anna again, I thought that something that would never change would be the feel of your hand in mine in the receiving line each week. It's strange to realize that this week marks the 6th month that we've been in some form of physical distancing and quarantine. Today is September 13th, and March 15th was our first fully online Sunday service. Amidst the chaos in March, we quickly and mournfully let being together in person go for the safety of our faith community and our wider communities. Yet without in-person gatherings, First Parish and Unitarian Universalism have still continued. Gathering together in person may be preferable, even ideal, but it is also transient, impermanent. To me, under the stress of the pandemic, there are at least two things that are proving to be permanent in our faith community. One, our shared commitment to Unitarian Universalism and its values like the ones that Parker described. And two, our shared commitment to specifically First Parish's Unitarian Universalist community. Is it not incredible that with so much changing around us, so much we have to adapt to, that we are still committed to gathering together on YouTube and Zoom each week for Sunday services, committee meetings, and spiritual growth opportunities? One thing that hasn't changed is that all of you are still showing up, even though so much isn't like what it was before, because here at First Parish, we love each other, and we know practicing our faith together will help us bring our values out into the world. In this challenging time, we are asked to practice our covenant and our core values of our faith, of love, growth, and service, all the more. During this crisis, you all are showing such dedication and resiliency. In a sermon at our National UU General Assembly in 2019 about our denomination's struggles with racial diversity and anti-racist cultural change, queer Latina Unitarian Universalist minister Reverend Marta Valentin preached, "In this delicate turning, let us remember that before anything, ante todos somos seres humanos, we are human beings who have chosen to travel together, to make a new, more just world together. We must continue to choose each other as companions if we are to accompany one another." What we are living through is hard. In this time of fearful and worsening environmental disasters, persistent systemic human evils, and loneliness and isolation, I ask all of you, please keep choosing to travel together. Keep accompanying and supporting each other on this unexpected journey. Keep committed to what is permanent, what is true, what and who you love. I am so grateful that you have stuck together for weathering this hard time together. And I'm glad to be back with you on this part of First Parish's journey. For some things never change, like how I'm holding on tight to you. Thank you for the honor of serving you. Blessed be, and amen. On this day, all across the country, Unitarian Universalist congregations are celebrating In-Gathering Sunday and participating in the ritual we call Water Communion. This ceremony is just 40 years young, but it has profound meaning and history.
The Water Communion was developed by Unitarian Universalists Carolyn McDade and Lucille Shuck Longview, who were both leaders in the women and religion movement within the Unitarian Universalist Association. This movement that began in the 1970s called for a more inclusive space for women's leadership and spirituality in our denomination. In time, they were quite successful in their efforts, but it took many years.
For their 1980 convocation worship, Longview and McDade created the Water Communion. Participants brought water forward from all corners of North America to a communal vessel, symbolizing that women were fighting the same fight for empowerment and equality in different ways, in different places. After all the waters were gathered, the activists were blessed with it, giving them strength to continue advocating for gender equality.
In Unitarian Universalist congregations today, we know there is still much work to be done in our own hearts and out in our communities to create a just and compassionate world for all people. Our work toward a better, whole world continues even when we are apart, though we are mightier when we are together.
At First Parish, we celebrate the Water Communion annually in our In-Gathering Sunday in September, bringing waters from our summer adventures and mixing those waters together with water kept from the prior year's Water Communion ceremony. Of course, this year we have to celebrate our Water Communion differently, virtually. Many thanks to all of you who sent in watery photographs to our tech team, for the water communion slideshow that is about to occur. We will, of course, save last year's water communion water, which contains a little bit of water from many prior years of water communion, and we will fervently hope that through community health efforts, public health efforts, and the hard work of researchers, scientists, and manufacturers, we will be safe to gather again in person for water communion next September.
Let us begin this year's unique water communion ritual and hold in our hearts our joy in the waters of the earth that sustain us, our love for one another at this congregation, and our gratitude for the continuity of the First Parish community during both easy and challenging times.
Blessed be, and amen.
Hymn number 1007, There's a River Flowing in My Soul, was written by Faya Ora Rose Teray, formerly known as Rose Sanders, a community activist, attorney, and judge who has been fighting for equality for all people since her involvement with the civil rights movement. In 1973, she became the first Black woman judge in Alabama's history. In addition to her legal career, she is a prolific playwright and songwriter. Please join in singing hymn number 1007, There's a River Flowing in My Soul.
There's a river flowing in my soul. There's a river flowing in my heart. There's a river flowing in my heart, and it's telling me that I'm somebody. There's a river flowing in my heart. There's a river flowing in my mind. There's a river flowing in my mind, and it's telling me that I'm somebody. There's a river flowing in my mind. There's a river flowing. There's a river flowing. There's a river flowing. There's a river flowing. There's a river flowing in my soul.
As we close our worship today, you are all invited to stay with us for our Zoom social hour. Please remember to keep a careful eye out for emails from First Parish and follow us on social media so you can keep up with all the opportunities for connection for all ages throughout the week during these times of social isolation. You can sign up for our weekly email by clicking on Subscribe to Newsletter on our website, uuneedham.org. Please remember, if you fall ill or need any pastoral support, to reach out to our ministers, Reverend Katie Scudera and Jenna Crawford, and pastoral care team and caring crew via phone or email. We also encourage all of you strongly to check in with your friends at First Parish and to double-check your own contact information in our online Realm directory if you have not done so recently. Please email our office administrator, Susanna Whitman, if you have any questions about using our online directory. We always extinguish our chalice with words promising to carry its flames in our hearts until we are together again, no matter how long it is until we are together again. We extinguish our chalice today. Please join me from home in saying these words written by Unitarian Universalist minister Reverend Elizabeth Selly Jones. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, nor the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.
Take these words from modern Euro-American UU minister Reverend Susan Carlson with you today as a benediction. May the waters virtually gathered here remind us of what each of us brings to this community and of the waters that nourished us before we were even born, that continue to give sustenance and energy to our life journeys and for all the creatures of this earth. May we gratefully continue to swim to the other side. Our service begins when our service ends. Blessed be, and amen.